Before there were kings or crowns, borders or cities, before the world had names, there were people. Barefoot, wide-eyed and shivering under strange skies, they wandered in groups no larger than a few dozen. These early humans, tough, scarred survivors of nature's raw brutality, didn't know agriculture. They didn't build temples, but they knew fire, they knew fear, and eventually they knew war. This is the story of the first known human conflict, a war that likely took place not on a battlefield but in the shadowed edge of a savanna, beside a dwindling waterhole or beneath a grove where the fruit had run dry. It wasn't a war for gold or glory, it was a war for survival. 2 million years ago, Earth was colder, hungrier and crueler than anything we now remember. The Ice Age hadn't gripped the world yet, but the climate swung between droughts and violent storms. Lions the size of horses hunted in packs, saber-toothed cats waited at watering holes, and even the trees seemed to fight back, hiding food behind thorns, toxins or height. In this raw world roamed Homo erectus, one of our earliest ancestors. They were not like us, but not entirely unlike us either. They walked upright. They made tools. They spoke in a primitive way, grunts, gestures, a few shared meanings. They lived in tightly bound groups, watched over by the wise, protected by the strong and fed by the fastest. But there weren't many safe places, and eventually survival brought one group face to face with another. It might have started with a cave, or a spring that never dried, or a patch of land where tubers were easy to dig and small animals were plentiful. One band of early humans settled there, building fires and marking their territory with smells, sounds and scars on trees. Then came another group, strangers. Their skin might have been darker or lighter, their tools shaped slightly different. They smelled of different fires, different kills. They didn't understand the warnings left behind, the scratch marks, the burned wood. And when they stepped onto that land, they didn't realize they were stepping into history. At first there may have been shouting, displays of strength, rocks thrown, sticks waved. That's how chimpanzees still do it today, ritualized aggression to avoid the cost of real battle. But hunger and desperation do strange things. Perhaps one side thought the other would leave. Perhaps someone got too close. Maybe a child was struck or a fire was put out and then the first spear flew. We don't know their names. We'll never know who struck first or who died last. But we do know that early humans fought viciously. In a Kenyan region called Nataruk, archaeologists found something astonishing. The fossilized remains of a prehistoric massacre, skulls crushed, ribs pierced by obsidian blades, some bodies still held in the positions they died, face down, hands bound, weapons scattered nearby. These weren't soldiers, they were families, and the wounds told the story: ambush, slaughter, and no mercy. This likely wasn't an isolated act, it was part of a pattern. Contrary to the myth of the noble savage, early humans were not peaceful by default. They were practical. Their lives were about access to water, food, shelter, and mates. When another group threatened that access, the risk wasn't just inconvenience, it was extinction. Resources weren't just low, they were unpredictable. One dry season could kill dozens. A failed hunt meant starvation, and a nearby rival could snatch your kill, poison your water, or worse, take your women and children. So humans began organizing. They made better weapons, they chose leaders. They planned raids and ambushes. The seeds of strategy, of warcraft, were sown not in castles, but around smoking fires on wind-blown plains. Warfare wasn't just about rage, it was about cunning. Imagine them, crouched in tall grass before dawn, coating their wooden spears in sap to harden them. They would have watched their enemies for days, learning habits and paths. They understood the power of surprise, of striking when the hunters were gone, or when the fire was low. When the attack came, it was likely terrifying. Screams in the dark, smoke, confusion. In a world without walls or warning bells, safety was an illusion. No one could sleep without someone on watch. And those who survived, they learned. The victors might take captives, or they might burn everything, scatter the bones, and leave behind a silence heavy with warning. Over time, stories would emerge: the brave warrior who killed 3, the child who escaped, the betrayal that sparked it all. And just like that, human memory, oral tradition began. Stories became tools. Fear became instruction. You might think this is a sad tale, that the First War marked a fall from innocence, but in truth, it was a turning point. War, as brutal as it was, forced humans to become more. They coordinated, communicated, even invented. Archaeological evidence shows spikes in tool sophistication, camp structures and social organization in areas where conflict was likely common. Conflict bred cohesion within the group. You had to trust your own, rely on them in battle, protect the young and the injured. This forged bonds. It birthed loyalty, perhaps even proto-morality. Who do we protect? Who do we fight? And the answer for the first time was not just me. It was us. Even our very bodies bear the imprint. Our ability to throw with accuracy, unmatched in the animal world, likely evolved for hunting and combat. Our sense of empathy, fine-tuned not just for love but for war, so we could read a friend's fear or know when someone was lying. Today, we live in cities. We have laws, peace treaties, and 100 ways to avoid violence. But if you strip it all away, if you go deep enough into the DNA, into the bone memory of our species, that first war still echoes. It's in the stories we tell of heroes and monsters. It's in the way we form groups, create enemies and rally around causes. It's in our suspicion of outsiders and the way we cheer for underdogs. We've evolved far past those early days, but that first war, it changed us. It carved something into the soul of our species, not just a thirst for conflict, but a drive for protection, identity and survival. It made us human. We often imagine our ancestors as simple brutes, club-wielding silhouettes in cave drawings, but they lived rich, desperate, meaningful lives. They laughed, they feared, and yes, they fought. Somewhere in that long-forgotten clearing where the First War began, the world turned. And in that turning, our story truly began.